it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. If this is your first visit, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the UK. I have team in the UK and in Europe, so if you ever think about joining a team and you would like to join mine, if you're in the UK, France, Germany, Austria or the Netherlands, I would be thrilled to welcome you to my team. Today I'm going to be making a card with the Jar of Flowers stamp set. This is in the, what do they call this? It's in the Flowers for Every Season suite, which is starts on page 10 of the new annual catalogue, the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalogue. It's a huge suite. If you order everything, which is 2 sets of stamps, a punch, a set of dies, memories and more cards, memories and more cards, as in cards and envelopes, domes, gems, ribbon, and the stamping blends, because all of the new in colour stamping blends, there isn't one for Bumblebee, but the Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Magenta Madness and Misty Moonlight, all of that comes in the suite for £168, and that includes getting 10% off the 2 bundles. But look at it all, it's huge. This obviously is my favourite because Sunflowers is the name of my team, so celebrate sunflowers. Absolutely, let's celebrate sunflowers. And then you get into more sort of general stamps. But a lovely set. It's a set of reversibles. Reversibles are stamps, so these are reversibles where you've got the solid image and the outline. So this is the jar that we're going to be using, but if I can find my other one, there we are. So this is the little pack of reversibles. So this is solid and this is the detail, and you literally just use the back of the stamp as part of your stamp set. So great value. 9 stamps, but obviously you've got the extras because you've got the 3 reversibles as well. So let me show you the card I've made. I'm going to change it up. So this is the card that I've made. I've got the jar punch here, which is in vellum with silver embossing. A little bit of the Bumblebee ribbon that is just such a pretty ribbon. And then I've kind of coloured in pastel shades, and then this is the reverse of one of the designer series papers, which is a huge set. It's gorgeous. This is, I think, slightly more than 1 full set. I had a little bit left over from my product shares, and so it went in here, but lots and lots of papers, and they are so varied. Let me see if I can pull some out without going mad. So these are going to be duplicates, but you've got sunflowers with a pattern on the back. So basically you've got a pattern on one side, and as in a solid pattern, what I would call a solid. This for me is a solid, and then an A side as well. So this is actually the B side, that's the A side. So this is tone on tone, really bright, some of them. Again, this is a tone on tone with bright on the reverse, some Just Jade, tulips. This is actually the paper that we're going to be using, but we're going to be using the Just Jade side. But really, really lovely set. Great for male cards as well as female cards, because you have got the generic side as well, and some nice cinnamon cider tones, which helps bring it into a sort of more masculine end of the equation. But we've got all of the new in colours are in here, plus, would you believe, Poppy Parade. So quite a clash. Anyway, let me show you what we are going to be making now, which is going to be the same idea but different. So pop that to one side. I've got, whoops, I'm going to throw it on the floor. I've got my cardstock, I've got a piece of vellum, I'm using this pattern as my mount. which is the reverse of this really eye-opening pattern. But I thought we'd go for the more subdued Just Jade, and I'm going to switch out the soft sea foam, which is what this is, for Just Jade. So it's going to be very much tone on tone, and then I'll use the Just Jade ribbon, the In Colour ribbon. So first thing to do is our embossing. So I know the embossing buddy is no longer available, but it's habit. I've now got into the habit. I'm going to continue. You want to stamp this reasonably near the edge of your vellum, because that's where the punch is going to come in. And it is it's a long, thin punch, so you want to allow for the fact that you've got not a huge distance between the bottom of the punch and where you're actually making the hole, if that makes sense. It will make sense when I actually punch it out, hopefully. So just dabble that in there, and because we've used the embossing buddy, sorry, you can use corn flour in a little muslin bag. That will work as well. All you're doing is putting down a fine powder to soak up any oil that may be on the paper. So that's the theory behind it. So some corn flour in a muslin bag will work very well. You possibly want 2 layers of muslin if it's a wide muslin, but yes, that will work just as well. So just heating up my heat gun, and then do be careful when you're heat embossing on vellum, because it will melt quite quickly. So once it starts going, it really starts going. I could watch this all day. There we go. So that's our jar. I'm going to waft that in the breeze to let the powder, well, what is now molten, actually solidify. When it first melts, it is actually a liquid, so just be aware that you can smudge it. Right, so the punch is this. It's the mason jar punch, and it's, as I say, because it's long and thin, when you pop your vellum in, you're actually quite near the bottom. So if you need to allow for the fact that you don't want too much between the bottom of the jar and the bottom of the vellum, or you won't get it in. You'll have to trim it back a bit, which is no bad idea. But now I used, what did I use? Balmy blue, dark balmy blue for the water on the previous version. So it is, let me grab it, it's quite a nice soft greeny blue. I'm going to try soft sea foam and see if that is as good or different. The first thing I'm going to do is decide where my waterline is and make sure that my jar is square to that. So I've got the edge of my jar on this line here, and I think we'll have our water to there. Ooh, I'm going to need a darker. I think I'm going to need a darker. Let's try the other end. Sometimes the broader end. Ooh, this time it's lighter. So let me grab, that is the dark sea spray, is it the seaside spray as well? Let me grab a darker colour. We may go, I wonder if light misty moonlight is going to be too dark. Let's try it on a scrap. No, I think that might be all right, because we're going to be seeing it from the wrong side. So we'll go dark misty moonlight. Note to self, change the list of products. So having got that there, you can then move your jar, and what I like to do is just make sure I've got the edge kind of done, and then you can come in with the broad tip. And I do like to go this way, because that kind of feels more like if there were going to be differences in the water, that it would be horizontal, not any other angle. So there we go, and if I turn that over, if I can pick it up, then that's quite a nice soft blue from the other side. So add that to my tin of, or my box of bits for my list of products. Right, so on here we're going to do the stamping for the flowers and for the stalks. I am going to bring in some scrap paper because I want a softish outline. I'm going to use, if I can find it, I've buried it, there we are, smoky slate. But I'm going to stamp it off, certainly for the flowers, but I'm going to do the stalks first so that I've got everything kind of in the right place on the card. So I want to come up about 1/2 inch, a slightly generous 1/2 inch. That I'm going to stamp full strength. On my previous version I did stamp it off, and I'm not sure that was the right thing to do because you can't see the outline, you can just see the green. But for the flowers I am going to stamp off, and I'm going to come up again a little bit because I want this to be kind of near the edge of my jar. So my jar's going to be here. I'm going to tie the ribbon around the neck of the jar. So yeah, I want to be, oops, I want to be, if I pop that in place, I can then come down a little bit and then stamp this, and we'll be about right. Because it's second generation, you do need to give it a little bit of welly, otherwise it doesn't stamp particularly well, but we are only really using it as a guide. Now these bits don't line up, it doesn't matter because we're going to be disguising the join anyway. So I have got a very bright selection of blends. First thing I'm going to do, and I probably won't need the light mossy meadow, but the first, actually no I will, what am I saying, I will. First thing I'm going to do is come in with my dark mossy meadow, not mossy meadow, just jade, my dark just jade, and fill in the inside of the stalks. And because vellum's going on top, you don't want to be lily-livered with the stalks because they will fade back under the vellum. So a bolder colour is a good idea. And if it's a question of going darker or lighter, go darker. And you can tell I'm concentrating because I've stopped talking. So while I'm doing this, not quite watching paint dry, but close, while I'm doing this, do remember that if you don't already subscribe to my channel, you can do that at any time throughout the video just by clicking the little button at the bottom right-hand corner. Right, okay. When I get to 9,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing quite a good giveaway. Just saying. So if you don't already subscribe, you may want to think about it. So this is really just adding some green where you think the leaves and the stalks are going to be. It's quite a mush in here, but what I did on this one, where there was just a gap, I filled that in anyway. So to an extent, you may just want to fill in anything that isn't a flower. Certainly at the sort of this bottom edge. Right, let's make sure we've got the leaves continuing. And actually I might bring in dark just jade for some of these stalks, just so that we've got a different green. Another one there, and there, that's pretty much it for sort of obvious stalks. Then these might actually be flowers. I think I'll leave those for a moment and see if they're flowers or not. So my my tulips, I'm going to be using Poppy Parade on. And I'm going to come in with the dark first, and yeah, it's in your face, isn't it? But I'm coming in with the dark first, and then anywhere where I think there's going to be a bit of a shadow, I'm adding the dark. So we probably want some there. And then come in with the light and just fill in everything else. And just make sure that your lines are kind of joined up, that you haven't got something stopping in the middle of nowhere. So I hope you are all enjoying the new annual catalogue. I think I can just about still call it new. Demonstrators are now looking at, dare I say, the August to December, which has Christmas in it, catalogue. We get to order from that in, now, I think. Yes, in July. So a pre-order will be going in any day soon. And of course, because it's also bonus days, us demonstrators will be earning bonus day vouchers on our pre-order, as well as having a discount. So for every £45 you spend, you get a voucher that you can then spend in August, and the voucher is valued at £4.50, so it's almost like getting free postage if you only get one voucher. But the more you spend in July, the more free stuff you can get in August. You do have to make sure that your £45 is in the same order. You can't order 3 or 4 times throughout the month and expect Stamping Up to do the maths for you. They won't. It is in any one order. So I would encourage you to place a few smaller orders rather than, one large order rather than lots of smaller orders. It's always better to do that anyway, because then you spread the postage over more items. And do remember, if you use my host code, which is in the video description and on my website, you then get to have some of the free product that I get with it. So the Hostess Rewards, I add them all up, and then everyone gets free product. And I get to choose what it is, which is one of my highlights of the month. So I have just closed off the July host code, the June host code, and so I know what everyone's getting. And I'm not going to tell you because I'm mean like that, but I just hope everyone likes it. But it is just a great way to make the most of getting the host code, the host rewards. Because if you're only putting in a smallish order, you won't earn host rewards. But by using my host code, you get to have a share in whatever we earn. And I have to say, last month, there was a lot. There were a lot of orders. I had, gosh, how many people ordered with me? I can't remember. I lost count. So, yes, it is one of my favourite times. Right, this is where we're going to go very bright. And I'm not going to apologise for it. I am going to just do it in smallish areas, but this is Magenta Madness Light, because Magenta Madness is in the suite, so I'm having it on my card. And Poppy Parade is in the suite, so I'm having it on my card. So, yeah. Nothing quite like a bit of a pop of colour. Got some more of those over here. Now, some of you may be wondering why I'm not fast forwarding through this, and that is for as much as any well, there are a number of reasons. As much as anything, I think it is important that people see the whole process, and if I fast forward it, you wouldn't. And I don't edit ever, because I also think it's important that if I go wrong, I show you how I correct the error, because otherwise people aren't going to learn how to correct errors. Do I dare go dark? Ooh, do I dare? Let's get a small scrap. Yes, why not? So these small flowers here, I'm going to do in dark. And then I'll put a pop of yellow in the middle as their centre. But I wanted this to be the opposite end of the strength spectrum, if you like, from the first one. The first one was very pastel, so it was petal pink, soft sea foam. Ooh, what else do we have in there? Highland heather. This is nowhere near that end of the colour. This is the really bright, in-your-face versions. So, dark mango melody for the centres of those. Oh, that wasn't one of those. This was one of those. And then I think we'll go light mango melody for whatever these flowers are in the middle. If you know what they are, if they are a flower, because they may not actually be a flower. They may just be a floral image. Oh, I found another bit of stalk that needs to be coloured. In fact, three more bits of stalk. So this is just adding colour. No, it's not difficult colouring. You're just filling in the outlines, really. I think that might be one of those, but before I do anything, I want dark mango melody in the middle of my flowers, and a wee bit of shading, not a huge amount, but just some. I think it's just nice to have a little bit of a different colour. Not even sure I want to blend it in. I'll see what it looks like. Yeah, it's alright. But it really was just a scribble. Right, so Poppy Parade for this. Is it one of those? No, I think it's a mango melody. I think it's one of these. It doesn't matter, actually, whether it is or not, because it's my card. I can decide what it is. Right, so I need a bit more of the jade for stalks, and I'm going dark again. And then again, I don't like this white trapped space, so I'm going to come in with my Just Jade and just fill in, and this is the Just Jade Light, and just fill in where there's sort of, I mean, there's going to be something there. There can't not be, really, because there's stalks flying about. So just fill that in. Right, so that is definitely bright. Okay, to add the ribbon, let me grab the ribbon first. Always a plan. No, that's Bumblebee. So, Just Jade ribbon. And it's suddenly gone terribly dark outside. I'm filming this at the end of June. Will someone tell me why it's suddenly gone dark outside at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun doesn't set for some hours yet? So just pop my ribbon on there, wrap it round. I mean, I know the answer to the question is the weather at the moment, having been a heat wave last week, Now we're back in March, April time. So we're getting wind and rain, and heavy rain. So that is going to help cover up a multitude of sins there. And then this, I'm going to just tie a small piece around the ribbon, around the neck of the jar, just for a little bit of extra decoration. And then cut that. There we go. Just cut it at a jaunty angle. Oop, there we go. Pop that away. So I know where it is when I next use it. Right, so to stick this on, again, glue dots will be your friend. I'm only going to use two, one in the middle of the neck and one behind this bit of heat embossing. And because it's behind heat embossing, it will be reasonably well hidden. So that's going to go there. And can you see that it doesn't really matter that we've got that gap because we've covered it up with the mason jar. Right, so let's add this to the paper. And this is really good adhesive. You do not need to put it everywhere. I have seen someone who pretty much did. I mean, in all directions. I think because we're so used to snail not being good in humidity that we've kind of got a bit carried away with the seal, which is fine in humidity. Pop its little lid on. Right, so I've got my card base. So this is half a sheet of Just Jade, scored and burnished. And then this, I'm going to add this on with liquid adhesive. Gosh, that's bright. Just come around the edge a wee bit. I'm not going all the way to the edge because this is paper and I don't really like the look of liquid adhesive behind paper. It tends to go a bit lumpy. So there we go. Obviously I'll put a liner in because writing on Just Jade will be a challenge. But there we go. So we've got the really bright version and the pastel version. I know already which one I prefer. But do let me know which one you prefer by leaving that in the comments below. If you've got any questions, please leave those in the comments below as well. If you're in the UK and would like any of these products, they're listed below and over on my website. And there's a link to the associated blog post just in the description bar. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And I will hope to see you again very soon. Have a great rest of your week and I will see you very soon. Bye!